Hey guys, welcome to the last video. This one will be a little bit longer and unfortunately be a little shaky. I still need to get a tripod or something to hold the iPad while I record. So in this video you'll be going over what you need to actually do in the lab. So this is where you're going to be writing your procedure. So I will do my best to kind of make it obvious, but following what I do today, in this video you should be writing the procedure step by step using complete sentences. So the first thing you need to do is you need to take your 250 milliliter beaker that I discussed in the materials portion. Make sure it's clean. There's no obvious dirt or grime. If there is, just take it to the sink and wash it with some soap and water. You're going to add that to the electronic balance, let it zero out for a second, and record that mass. Just a reminder, you need to be writing a data table, so the mass of your empty beaker should be included in your data table. Once you have that mass recorded, you need to mass out and get your materials. So today we'll be working with solid copper sulfate, so we're going to need to weigh out a portion of it. Unfortunately, the copper sulfate we have comes in these very large crystal chunks, which would take very, very long to dissolve, and you'd be stirring and stirring and stirring and stirring. So what you're going to need to use is that mortar and pestle. So what I've done is I've taken a mortar and pestle, and all you do is in your mortar and pestle you put your 10 to 12 grams of copper sulfate, and you just grind it, and you grind until you have a pretty consistent fine blue powder. So to make sure I have the right amount, I'm going to take the weigh boat I only use for copper sulfate. I put it on the scale. You let it sit for a second, and then you zero it. What this does is it takes away the mass of the weigh boat. To the weigh boat, I take the contents of my mortar and pestle, and I pour it in there. I didn't do a great job. There are still some fairly large chunks. The better grind you do, the better your results will be. If you notice, I left some blue in the mortar. That's not so good. So when you do this, make sure you transfer all of it. So I am right where I need to be. So I have 10.25, 10.26 grams of copper 2 sulfate. When you are doing this, your mass should be about 10 to 12 grams. So what you're going to do is that copper sulfate you're going to add to your beaker you already weighed. Make sure you transfer all of it. The better your transfers are, the better your results will be. And you are going to dissolve it in water. The amount of water you use doesn't matter. Here I would use 50 milliliters, and I would just combine them. Now if you take a look, that's not very dissolved, so you're going to get a stir bar. I'm just agitating it. And you're going to stir and stir and stir until all those chunks are dissolved. This could take a couple minutes. Be patient. The more chunks you dissolve, the better off your results will be. So I'm going to let this sit. Again, mine's not perfect, but for the sake of the video, it'll work. The next thing we need to weigh out is your iron filings. So again, I put the weigh boat on the scale. Empty. I zero out. Then I take the iron filings and I add it. Your mass of iron filings should be between 1 and 2 grams. This is something else you need to record. Record your starting mass of iron. Here I have 1.58 grams. Taking that iron into your copper solution. This would be aqueous. This is what we talked about during our reaction unit. It turns a nice pretty blue color. The better you stir it, the better off you'll be. To that, we would combine this. So I will add mine. This reaction's not going to go the best. And again, you're going to stir. Again, this is a single replacement reaction, so you're going to let this sit for a couple minutes because reactions take time. So if we let that sit for 5 minutes, we should be able to see our product.